Mulch is more than meets the eye, is more than tomato food, is more than potato protection during the frost. And if you remember that last cold spell, we kind of covered these and they're pushing right on up through. But that's with some hay. A lot of this is wood chips, a lot of this is leaves. And if you've been following my story, you know I just kind of mix it all together. Now, if you notice, I said mulch, not leaves, not wood chips. And then we just pull it back. Look how nice and moist that is underneath there. Let me tell you a little story about leaf mold, or leaf mulch. One of our viewers wrote in, they dug up some iris. They're gonna plant a little later. They dug up their iris. They set them on some cardboard that was on the concrete. It was getting cold, it was still winter, so they put a bunch of, they went ahead and put a bunch of leaves on top. Forgot about them. This spring, the iris went ahead, put up shoots, and they've bloomed, sitting on concrete, on cardboard, covered in leaf mold. I do not believe anybody would suggest that's a good way to plant. But it makes you wonder, how many parking lots and sidewalks have you been down that you've seen things growing in the expansion joints? What is concrete made of? It's made of different sized rocks. Sand of all kinds, some pebbles. Now when the leaves blow across the ground, they pick up life as they go. So if you're setting cardboard, which will retain some moisture, on top of concrete, which is basically one big solid rock made up of a bunch of different kinds of sand, and you put leaves on it that is full of life, chances are some of that life will start dissolving some of the minerals in some of that sand to provide enough nutrients, as long as there's water, for anything that you put on there to actually grow for a little bit. Because the mulch does not feed the plants. The mulch feeds the life that feeds the plants. We want a nice thick layer of mulch that'll keep the ground from freezing really bad, keep the life active all winter long. The more life you have in the ground, the better you're gonna do when it comes time to plant. Even when the wind blows the leaves in heavy, corn still pushes on through. It doesn't look like the amaranth has started to come up yet, but we got sunflowers. A little patch of beets and onions that we planted in the late fall are doing great. And now that it's going to seed, we're gonna have free beets going on forward, thanks to the deep mulch. We did have a viewer write in, said he didn't think his wife would be too keen on the way that I mix my mulch together in her flower bed. Let's go take a look at a flower bed. Remember, Riley and I started this because we didn't like to weed anymore. 4 inches thick or thicker, we're good to go, aren't we? We're good to go. Then we found out we were feeding the life in the soil. And now we're trying to figure out how to get that balance of life so that we can optimize the garden. Believe it or not, this rose has been in the ground for 30 years. Just about ready to bloom. This flower bed was mulched with just regular wood chips. If you're gonna use wood chips, try not to use the dyed kind. It's not good for the soil, it's not good for your plants. Right here's another really good example. Got a couple inches of wood chips on top of cardboard, and then the container sitting on top of that with a rock path. We use the same ideas from the main garden. It does help the flowers grow well, and it looks pretty good. And you can see in this little bed, we haven't quite got all the mulch in yet, and that's kind of a bare spot, and the weeds are coming up. And with this bed, it's kind of hard to see because of how well it's growing, but with the peonies, it's done the best it's ever done. And of course, our wild violets have just taken over this bed. They just love the mulch. I may have started mulching in the vegetable garden, but I've carried it on through to all the flower beds. Remember, until next time, take care of yourself, take care of your family, and God bless you. Come on, let's plant.
Let's go plant garden.